right, you guys. Welcome back to She Gets It podcast. Happy Monday morning to ya. This is season 19, episode 6. Yeah. People I miss. Missing people is bittersweet. It's kind of like you're happy they're not in pain in here, but you miss them in a way where you felt at home in their presence and it was enough. Okay. I carry a lot of people with me in my spirit. That's why I don't worry, and that's why I always feel safe. I talk to them daily in my mind, not out loud, because they keep me in check when I want to take my safety off on you disrespectful motherfuckers. And I want to talk about it. You ever be thinking and then you be thinking and then it's a thought and then it's a thought and it's just stuck? Yeah, this is it. I'm going to tell you. I got one thought for you. Taking care of ourselves and our kids is how we show respect to those who looked out for us and no longer are here. So show some gratitude and act like you got some sense, because a lot of y'all, what y'all do, what y'all say, and how y'all take care of your kids or your parent that you have left is shameful, because you know the person that you respect the most that has passed away and is no longer here would have checked you. They would have been checked you. Okay. Hey there. If you have a product or something to inform the people about and you would like to go ahead and run an ad on She Gets It podcast, let me know. Email me at shegetsitpod@gmail.com so we can set this thing up. This spot right here can be for you. Thank you for checking out She Gets It podcast episode. I appreciate you. And if you're looking to support the podcast and you do not want to donate to Red Circle, that's the platform that hosts all of my shows, okay? She Gets It shop is open on Teespring. If you love and support the show, let me know by grabbing something and letting other people know that my show does exist and that's your favorite podcast to listen to. So the way that Teespring is set up, I don't have to get into the middle of it. It's between you and a company shipping your things where you want it to get. If you want to ship it to work, ship it to work. If you want to ship it to your friend's house, ship it to your friend's house. If you want to ship it as a gift to someone else, you can do that on teespring.com. And if you're a podcaster and you're looking for a dropship company, try teespring.com. Okay? Don't say I didn't tell you. So for me, I miss my grandfather on my mom's side a lot. I didn't know my grandparents on my dad's side at all. I really don't know his family that well. The only people I know on my dad's side is my stepsister and my stepbrother, and they're a lot older. They're like around my mom's age, okay? And we talk every once and again, but it's nothing consistent. So, my grandfather on my mom's side, he was very mellow, and he always looked to create solutions for people and build things for people. And I think that was the way that he showed how he loved you or appreciated you is, I'm going to make you a table. I'm going to make you 4 chairs for your dining room. I'm going to sharpen your pencils for school with sandpaper, like in my knife. And he always smelled like wood dust, and I loved it. Okay. And I have his shacket that he would always wear when it would get cold in Philly, and he would be down in the basement working on something, or going to church to go do something at the church to help. And I always think about him. My love of a man who is dedicated to doing work with his hands or through his talents comes from that, right? And then we have my Uncle Ronnie. That's technically not my related uncle through like my grandparents. Basically, Uncle Ron was the boyfriend of one of my aunts on my mom's side. who could never break through the relationship he had with her because she was very distant and cold and didn't really show emotion and just shut off. And I think even though they couldn't pursue the relationship how he wanted to have a relationship with her fully, he still stuck around and helped her. And if she needed to do something for the house, he would show up. If she couldn't do something and he knew how, he would show up and help. If anybody around her needed anything, he would show up and help. If it was her dog needed something, he would show up and help. You know what I'm saying? If it was like a dinner being had or an event, he would be there. But it was always limited in the relationship, technically, because I feel like she's a bitch. But this episode is not about that. But the fact that there was no limits to what he gave, how he showed up, and the love he showed people, and the happiness he gave people. Even my friends that got a chance to meet him or was around him, they always got like a good vibe, always giving a joke, always being blunt, honest, and saying what people think but won't say. That's me. You know what I'm saying? And he always made me feel safe, cared for, thought about. And my tattoo on my forearm is his full name, because people like that are rare. How they show up. And he didn't take anybody's shit. Like, he was gonna tell you about yourself. And he taught me a lot about work and integrity and being a lady. And either you gonna paint your nails and they gonna be painted correctly and not chipped up, or you just gonna take the nail polish off. And he taught me the difference between black people and niggas. And he just I've just felt like he took me under his wing like a daughter. I've never had a close relationship with my dad like I had with him. For many reasons. My dad was very stubborn and his ego got in the way of our relationship. But he told me stories of him purposely being the side man to allow women to have happy marriages, which helped me understand why people paint a picture in relationships and do shit on the side. Not that it's good or bad, but people do it. This is reality. And he gave me a lot of that. And he told me how he had it all and how he lost it all, but he always kept his integrity. He told me about a hit list he made before he basically a crazy house, because he was just really going through it with like people he did shit for that had the audacity to just treat him any type of way or do shit. And it's just the honesty that he always expressed that I respected. And he knew how to do business the white way. If ever you had a company issue, an issue with school, you didn't know how to do the correct wording to talk to a company on paper or in contracts, he knew that language, and he gonna get you a write-up or your resume corrected in order to get the job that you need to get. And he gonna send an email and a printed copy letter that is notarized to a company to get that shit the fuck off your credit or whatever, to get your money back. Like, he was that guy, you know, and he knew how to write companies to handle your shit. And for me to be in my 20s and work the jobs that I worked, he knew like what you need to ask for, the benefits that you have, the resources that are here. You know, you looking for a plane ticket, when you trying to go, okay, I'll look up some prices for you. Like, he was that, you know, and the type of person who would help you even when he needed help. He showed up for me in a way where my father couldn't. And he lives in my spirit. And that's a big reason why I can't accept what most women do from a man these days, because I know the possibility is way better. The bar is higher than what a lot of women accept from men today, and I refuse to do anything I don't think he would be proud of, as far as relationships go. So yeah, like, I miss him all the time. Anytime I switch lanes in the street or in the highway and it's raining, I remember him telling me, you know, when you driving and it's raining, those white parts, they're wet. So when you switch lanes, just be careful. Like, just shit like that. Like, he ain't had to tell me that. You know, he ain't had to give a fuck. But he always kept it G with me. He knew how to park me out of love. The type of man I knew would kill for me if he had to, that was him. And women need men like these. So when an honorable man walks into their lives, they can recognize it. And a lot of women today don't have it. And women today are lacking the right foundation. So they are allowing anything and everybody to have their energy. And I'm not the woman you sweet talk because I see through it. Okay, I've already had this one-on-one. I've seen through it. I remember being like 12 or 13, and I was visiting my dad for like a week, and he was trying to have a conversation with me about the birds and the bees. I'm just like, sir, you are late. You are late, and you're trying to rush all the things that you need to tell your daughter in this one night or day because it's just on your conscience and you feel guilty that you haven't been around. But talk and action wise, a lot of these males today cannot back it up. And I'm not the woman to accept excuses on why you don't love yourself but want me to love you. I can't watch you dig a hole for yourself and hold your hand. And so I would rather not be in a lot of these relationships than to be in it and watch you wallow because you want to play victim, because that's easier than correcting it. It's easier than trying. It's easier than doing your work. And my thing is, if you fuck with me, honestly, I got you. If you're accountable for your dumb shit and grow, we can ride. If you're done with being an easy slut bucket that a pretty woman can get whenever you horny, we can build. But Chantal ain't building with no man willing to embarrass himself and his family and lack self-discipline. That's the foundation for everything. And I didn't mention my dad as a pivotal man in my life because he punked out when he should have showed up. I respect my dad's work ethic. I respect my dad as a businessman. I respect my dad as for not having to have a crew or a group of friends for him to enjoy his life. He didn't give a fuck if you ain't fuck with him. He fucked with him. And those things I got from him. But other than that, I didn't really get anything. He really showed me that some men are not worth a marriage. I don't think my dad should have ever been married because his personality was so self-absorbed that he didn't have the compatibility to care about someone else outside of himself. I feel like my dad was one of those dateables. Okay, there's a lot of men that are out here that are dateables, where you just date them, you have fun, and you let them live their lives in their own house, in their own car, cook their own food, watch their own shit, go on their own vacation, and you meet them there and you have a good time and you go to fuck home and they go to fuck home. Like, that's who my dad was. And him and my mom should have never been married, but that's a whole nother thing. And I say that to say, for dads out here who have daughters, you have to show up. You have to show up. You have to be around. Your daughters never stop needing you around. And if you don't fill those spaces where your daughter needs you, another man will. And it's a big gamble on if that man is going to be genuine or malicious or manipulative or get her in some shit that she can't get herself out of. Okay? But yeah, I don't miss anybody, but I miss those two right there because they kept me at a good foundation. And I just felt like every time I brought in a life in this world, I lost a life. So when I got pregnant with Anya, it was while I was grieving the loss of my grandfather. And I got pregnant a year after his funeral. And not even a year, like some months after his funeral, because I just needed to escape. I needed to feel something else. And for Ari, like, my uncle would have loved Ari. I had such a miserable pregnancy with Ari, which is why she came out and she was a miserable baby. But she while I was pregnant with her, where I was working, I had to pass the hospital where my uncle was dying every day, to and from. And I was working like 40 plus hours a week at this corporate job, and just trying to not be stressed, because when you're stressed and you're pregnant, you could affect the baby, and just grieving the whole time. And he just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I kept resisting like going to see him because I knew he wouldn't look like himself. And he was getting worse and worse and worse. And I left to go to work early, and I was like, okay, I'm going to stop in there. I'm going to go see him. And I went in there to see him. He couldn't recognize people. He couldn't remember my name. And then it clicked. And he was like, he was in bed, like lost so much weight. And he was like, don't you have to go to work? You need anything? Like, why are you worried about what I need and you in the hospital dying? Like, but he, when I was 19, up until when he passed away, he will always complain about like these migraines and having headaches. And I know black men don't like going to the doctor, and he's the only man that I know that took care of himself. And when I say took care of himself, like took care of himself, like, I'm going to the eye doctor. This is my 3rd time this year. I'm going to the dentist. I want to get this done. Or I want a new pair of glasses. Or I'm going to go check my colon. Or I'm going to go check this. And he had anxiety because all of his siblings have always died in their 50s. And it was just like once he turned 50, it's just like every year it's like anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. It's this year, this year. But he will take care of himself. He will take his medicine. He will go to his doctor appointments. He was like on top of it. And I've never known a black man to be so on top of his health. So when he got sick, I was just like, what the fuck? You know, so smart, so intelligent. And he had stage 4 brain cancer. And the way people that he did so much for treated him towards the end of his life was so disgusting to me. And the whole time, like, I'm pregnant. I can't grieve. I can't really cry. I can't really be emotional. I don't have time for it. He died before I gave birth to Ari. And even after I had Ari, I wasn't happy because I was still grieving that. And I had postpartum the whole year, the whole first year with Ari, where I felt like I was obligated to take care of this child that I didn't feel connected to because I was grieving. And maternity leave for like 2 months was so hard for me because I wasn't connected to her. It's like I see her, I feed her, I bathe her, I change her. We spend time together. I fold her clothes. But it's just a baby I had. And when you see us now, like, we so close, you wouldn't even think that happened. But that postpartum shit is real. And her dad understood, and I was having issues with her dad where he was he spent so much time painting a picture of what his life was to other people and only giving me the reality of it. And when you have a baby, you can't separate that shit. Like, we are one, okay? Shout out to Frankie Beverly. We are one, okay? And he was, y'all got me fucking crying. He was struggling on allowing people to see his truth that, yeah, you got a girlfriend and you got a new baby with your other girlfriend that you've had since she was 18. Yes. And I didn't feel close with him at the time. I felt very disconnected. I was disappointed in him in many ways at that point. So the person that I would go vent to and chill with and be open with, I couldn't even do that because he was such a dick the whole pregnancy. And afterwards, it was kind of like he wasn't understanding that we had to take like a back seat to whatever the fuck problems we had going on. And he was just being so prideful and problematic, just not going through his shit correctly. And so, yeah, those are the two men that I miss and I think about a lot. I feel like I only have like one man left that I'm like treasuring, and that's like my favorite brother. And I always check in on him because he's one of those people that's always willing to do for somebody else, but not checking in with himself, you know, what his mental is like, you know, how you feeling, you know. So if you have good men around you and you're a man or a woman, take care of them, check in on them, spend time with them. And I don't feel like my grandfather died without him knowing I love him. And I definitely don't feel like my uncle died without him knowing that I love him. That's why I'm okay. I'm okay about him not having a funeral that he should have had. I'm okay with him not being here because I know he wasn't feeling well, but he deserved more from people that he wasn't getting. But I remember all them random calls where I would call him on my break from work, from New York, from college, on my break, and I would just tell him, I was just calling him to tell him I love him. And even then, he would ask me if I need anything. I'd tell him no. Be good to your people, man. Be good to your people. Oh, y'all got me crying. I'm so glad this is not on video. Y'all wouldn't have to see my snot. Right. All right, table topics time. 2 questions. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right, first question. Would you trade 10% of your sanity to become 10% smarter? No, because what if in the way that I am dumb? What if the way that I am sane about relationships? What if the way that I am sane about my self-awareness is fulfilled by me just being smart, numbers wise, or smart with science, or smart with words? But when it comes to like relationships, I don't make sensible decisions, because I feel like all of our geniuses are dumb on basic shit. And I think it's because all their genius has filled those spaces with genius shit that they have no space to have common sense. So, no. Let me have what I have. Okay. When you were a kid, did you ever think your parents had left you behind? Okay, we dig it. Okay, so I grew up in Philly, West Philly to be exact. Cedar Ave, what it do? Wham, wham, corner house. And we used to go downtown a lot with my mom. And my mom didn't drive, so we walked everywhere. We took the trolley, we took the train, we took a bus. And when we would walk on the big streets downtown, and you know how the streets have like the sewer and those vents that be blowing up smoke and steam, I used to have continuous back-to-back dreams of my mom walking in front of me and I couldn't catch up. And every time I would yell her name, I would get further and further behind. And still to this day, I do not walk over those vents because I feel like I might fall through. So, yes.
Jan, take your ass to bed now. Get in the bed now. Somebody go tuck her